Okay, I think I'm ready to begin. Hello. This feels very awkward, which I hope like proves that this isn't an AI generated video. Um, but it feels awkward because I am someone who has had in her past a very public facing platform. Um, my name is Jennifer. I used to be a sailing journalist. I used to be a scientist. I used to be a snow reporter. And I used to be, for the longest career I've ever held was I used to be a professional photographer. And most people who know me or have come to know me have known me because of my work as a photographer. And in the end of 2017, I decided to do something different and made a pretty dramatic decision to put all my stuff in storage, pack up my Jeep and my dog at the time, Monty, who is Frankie's uncle, and sadly he's not with us anymore. And we traveled across the country. And so there's so much more to the story, and I feel like this isn't the time to really fully go into all of that. It's more of just wanting to reconnect with a community of people who were sort of like rode shotgun for that whole journey, and then sort of were shotgun with everything that transpired on the backside. 'Cause on the backside of that journey came a global pandemic, which then had a whole trickle effect of things. And I really don't want to get into all the awful things. I don't want to not hold space for the awful things that have happened, but a lot has happened. And there was a period in time there where it kind of became too much for me. Like, it was a lot of things not going very well, a lot of roads just disappearing, and having a really hard time navigating and not wanting to let myself down and let a very particular group of people down. And there's a very, very good chance that you're one of these individuals watching right now. You could also just be somebody who stumbled on this video and is just like, "Ooh, heck, what's going on here?" And maybe you're curious enough that you're going to hang out with Frankie and I as I kind of talk it out just a little bit. So, so elevator pitch wise, I walked away from very successful, technically drove away from a very successful photography career as a Vermont photographer to explore the possibility of becoming a documentary photographer with a focus on meeting with people impacted by cancer, specifically breast cancer. But that story evolved as I traveled. And I very intentionally chose a what some have come to know as an overlanding approach. So not paved roads, like off-road, backcountry, and like I was kind of picking destinations and locations primarily based on whether or not I had kind of like little safe havens, but also like where people were located. And my goal was to take the most over the land approach to get to them. And I learned how to drive a Jeep properly, which was probably one of the greatest things that came out of this big adventure, was like building like a new skill set in that way. Um, the trip, the plan, everything did not go as planned. I did not have like the confidence in myself that I needed to have. And a lot of that had to do with a lot of what felt like inauthentic like maybe that's not the word. I was really encouraged. Like, I was encouraged by a lot of people to go like that. I should do this thing, that I would have no problem getting the support that I need. And you're going to crush it. Da, da, da. All the things that one needs to hear to like just get out the door and go. And so I did. And come to find out, and this might upset or offend anyone listening, but come to find out, people really don't care about the impact of cancer on others. In fact, unless they themselves are actively like in the throes of it, it's just not something that people give a think on. In present day, it's even a little bit worse because there's so much going on in the world at present that it's really hard to to care about anything past just getting through your own personal existence, like getting through the day, especially if you have a family and kids, like just trying to, yeah, get through the day. Um, and so that's something that I learned during that time. So it was an adventure for sure. It was a wild experience. It's something now I think that a lot of people are doing, but at the time I was one of few people doing it, and felt like a novelty, and felt like oh my gosh, you're a woman traveling by yourself. Like, aren't you scared? Is it dangerous? A lot of these things, and sometimes yes, but most of the time the only thing that was really scary was just like what was going on in my own mind, because it was really hard. It was really hard. But the hardest part of all was actually when I kind of wrapped up the adventurous part, and I had no choice actually but to just kind of stay still in one place, and landed on my best friend from college's farm. And I actually still reside here to this day, and it's been like almost 8 years. And started doing the thing that everyone was asking. They're like, you should write a book, you should do this, you should do that. And so I tried, and um and I absolutely like fumbled and failed on so many levels. Like, there were some extenuating circumstances. Like, I th- I think a lot about how sometimes in like contracts there's that little phrase, that clause about like acts of God and whatnot. Like, so bearing no, like, catastrophic acts of God or whatever that take place. And I now feel like I've experienced a little bit of that. And I think many of you watching have probably felt the same, in terms of between the pandemic and some of the really wild, extreme meteorological events that have taken place. We won't even get into wars and politics and whatnot. Um, and Yeah, it felt like I was meant to just fail. Like, I felt I have felt on many times in over the last couple of years that like I was meant to go on this trip for the sole purpose of failing so epically, so like what felt to me catastrophically so, that it would strip me bare and put me in a position where I had no choice but to completely rebuild myself, every like just completely start from the beginning. And that's about when I realized I had to kind of just disappear and be quiet, um and feel like, and then sit with the feeling of like, am I just letting everybody down? People supported me, and I people supported financially, and so a lot of reckoning with the weight of that. And I'd like to think that my parents raised me in a way where I take responsibility and accountability, and so I take responsibility and accountability for, you know, maybe not asking more questions, doing enough research. Um, yeah, there was so much learning that happened during that period of time. But the thing is that I never I never gave up, even though it failed and I disappeared. It failed, I disappeared. I tried again, wasn't working. Tried again, didn't really work, and learned a lot. And I'm really cliff noting this, um, but life kind of has a funny way of like not letting you give up on the things that really matter. And I knew deep down that I was supposed to go on that trip. I was supposed to travel around the country, living out of my Jeep with my dog, meeting the people that I met, having the experiences that I had, landing here on the farm, and having all that happen, and having to basically like rebuild, and do so in a way knowing that I might be letting people down, but here's hoping that as long as I don't give up, completely. Eventually, like, I'm going to see this through, and just ask for grace and forgiveness. And for those of you watching who sent me messages and emailed me and reminded me that you supported what I was doing because you were supporting me, and that meant a lot. Like that, I know I could start crying, but I didn't bring a tissue. You're the reason why I never gave up. And I don't think much of those who, like, because I definitely gave folks refunds when asked. And if folks just decided to just like, let them go, it's fine. It's okay. It's okay. There's no part of me that doesn't not appreciate how fortunate and privileged I was to get to do what I got to do, even if it was hard and not easy and did not go as planned. I have so much gratitude, and it's because of that, and it's because of the support that I received, regardless of whether or not those folks still believe or support me today. It's okay, because they did when they did, and I never forgot. And so here I am sitting safe and sound in what has been one of the most wonderful homes I've ever had, and with my book. It's like, how do I like discreetly try to like bring my book in? But I did it. I finished it. I mean, I finished it a long time ago, but it's been rewritten a lot, and it's been redesigned. And the funniest of funniest things is that it's being printed by the printer that I always wanted to work with. So I always wanted to be traditionally published, but rejection is real. And I was feeling rejected, not just in, in my book proposal, but I was just feeling rejected by people in life and everything in general. I was just like, there was a whole lot of feeling rejected. And I flip-flopped. For those who followed along, no, I flip-flopped back and forth. And then the version of the book really changed a lot when I decided to be quiet and disappear and sit with what it is that I really wanted to put out in the world, and talk to people and listen to people, and wanting to stay connected to why I did all this. Like, why? Why did I give up my career in Vermont? Why did I go on this journey? It was for a very specific community of individuals that exist that have been impacted by a life-altering event. Specifically, for me in this story, that life-altering event is a cancer diagnosis. But what I've learned, and a lot of it has to do with how my book and my story has supported me in I have been diagnosed with lupus in this last few years, and I've had a couple little reoccurring bouts with cancer. I've been very fortunate, so I don't want anyone to worry about me. I've been very, very, very fortunate. The one thing about having lupus is that you are like so monitored on all levels, that if cancer is just like, little baby cancer cells are like, ooh, like what happens if I show up here? It's like, there is a doctor and a specialist on it. So I'm in good hands, and I'm doing well. I haven't always been doing well, but it's really made me think thoughtfully about what I'm putting out into the world. Like, if I'm going to see this through, if I'm going to get this across the finish line, I needed to kind of let go of every preconceived thought and idea of what this was going to become. And that meant knowing that I was going to complete this and still let people down, or still create something that people weren't hoping for, like they were expecting what they weren't expecting. Or did I say that right? Completing what they weren't expecting to be completed. Did I say that right? Sitting and talking to yourself can sometimes be not as easy as it looks. So in the end, after conversations with other people who know more than I do, I set out to see through a book that would be comfortable and supportive of somebody who felt like the road disappeared. And When the Road Disappears is very much inspired from the trip because the road kept literally disappearing. And it is the third iteration of the big picture project's name. It was originally Photos That Unite, with the idea of photography that united people around the impact of cancer. And the hope was that actually, like, after I completed the one project, I could use that for something else. And I actually still own the domain Photos That Unite in case photography for me circles back around. It hasn't quite yet, but that's like for another day. And then it was navigating challenging landscapes because I was literally like driving up and over the Rockies. And yes, when my mind revisits some of the things that I did that are told in the story, because all the best stories are in this book. Not everything that I experienced on the road is in this book, but all of my most transformative 4x4 driving experiences are in this book. um, but the road literally like was often disappearing. Like I am out in the middle of nowhere, just me and my dog, and the road has disappeared. But when I listened to the stories and re-listened to the stories over and over again of those I met, that was kind of a theme. Is like that's what it can kind of feel like, right? Like when you get something, when something life altering happens, whatever that might look like, it's like all of a sudden you don't know which way to go. Like it feels like you're standing in an open field with no clear path. Do I go left, right, back the way I came? And then you look back the way you came and realize you can't go that way. And so for me, once I like really dialed in to like the core theme, the core reader, like who might be the reader of this, and then remembered that there is this community of people who like supported me and have offered nothing but encouragement, and then taking the time to just sit with all of this, was when I was able to finally like essentially rewrite my entire book, redesign it, reformat it, everything. And on some levels, a lot of that is because once I was able to settle in with a printer, you have to kind of like conform to what their dimensions and options are and price points and whatnot. But once I was able to do that, everything kind of came together. And that all really happened in 2025. So, because right now it's February 2026. So technically I finished this and everything in 2025, but everything is shipping over the coming like weeks and months ahead. And I am doing things in batches because this project has left, we'll call it an impression. Use your imagination. It's not an inexpensive, to have it go wrong. That's what I'm here to say. If you decide to do a big project like this, I'm here to say that if things go wrong, it can be a very expensive and daunting task. But I am happy to say that I'm in a position where I can see this through and I can follow through with what I promised, and I can deliver on what folks have invested into. It's not going to be what they thought it was going to be. And I'm going to have to ask for grace and forgiveness, but I hope it's something that they're proud to have been a part of. I hope it's something that they're proud to have been a part of. Every bit of this book it's me in a book. I do cringe a little bit when I'll like randomly open to a section and just read a paragraph and be like, oh, Langell, like, if only I could have afforded a professional editor, like if only. But in terms of layout and design, the weight, the feel, there's like a nice texture to the cover. All of the illustration, the design is all mine. Everything means something. Like, when the road disappears, I intentionally accentuate appears because it does, like the way forward does. And the tagline is a new journey begins. And I'm here to say that that new journey is not always going to be like, sometimes that new journey is going to be really rocky. The little bluebird, uh, the barbed wire. There's like the stories all kind of come back. There's some other little illustrations in here, and I don't want to share everything, just because I know that there's folks. Yeah, folks, like everything that you see in here. If it's an illustration, it was by my own two hands. The cover, everything, the design, the layout, everything was thought through came about through the filter of trying to imagine myself as the reader. Like, for example, the reason why I did not do a photo book is because people going through a hard time already have enough weight to carry. And if you're in a waiting room or getting an infusion or just not feeling good and you're in bed, like, this is comfortable. And then the design, the margins are all such that you could do this. You could comfortably read. Because I've been talking to what feels like myself forever. And and you can carry it and flip through it easily. It's a quick read. I know that there's going to be quite a few folks sad to not see my photography in here, but here's the thing. At the end of the book, and I think there's a bookmark that's coming with the book. There's a QR code, and that QR code goes to a landing page on my website, and there'll be a gallery of imagery from my trip, my photography, and there'll be like a pull quote, so it will kind of help you correspond. Like if you're reading along and you feel like you would like to see a visual, like it's likely that that will be on the website in chronological order to the book. And then I also hope that folks feel like, yeah, I hope they feel like they're on the adventure with me, even if they have to like navigate away, to maybe look at pictures. I hope I say they, but I'm really meaning you. I hope you're okay with that. I mean, I guess you don't really have a choice because I made a creative executive decision, but I do feel good about that because we also, we have our book in our bag and we have our water or our tea. Chances are our phones are nearby. My phone is recording this right now. And, you can just quickly like tap on the QR code and it will bring you to that page and you can see all the photography. And yeah, so what's next is that I'm doing this in batches because, as I mentioned earlier, this is not an inexpensive endeavor to. It would have been cheaper if I gave up and just gave everybody a refund. That would have been cheaper. And if for some reason you are dissatisfied, I suppose that's not like I wouldn't not do the right thing. So please know that. But I hope that seeing through and not giving up too soon for any person who has supported me or been a part of this journey with me, I hope if you take one thing away from this, that's not necessarily something that's written, though I do write about this in the book, is that if it's okay to pick up unfinished projects at a later date. It's okay if you need more time, and to not give up on yourself too soon. Like, don't give up too soon. If it's like for me, this was like in my soul. Like when I actually contemplated giving up and just tossing in the towel. Like when I sat with it, there was for sure like a relief, but then there was a darkness, and I felt like no, like I would care, like that felt heavier. That felt like more of a burden than anything else. And it felt really good not to give up too soon on this. The one thing I can say though is that I'm ready to put it behind me. Um, I'm not interested I'm not interested in like rehashing the story. I want to honor the people who shared their story with me. I hope that their stories, more than my own, go far and wide. I hope people see a little bit of themselves in the people that I met. And if they're going through a similar experience, can pull something from it like I did for myself. And if in the end it is my story that you resonate with, I just hope that it helps you overcome, like, really, like if something bad is happening or things are not going the way that you wished, I hope that my story helps you not give up too soon, not on yourself, to like just go slow and low, just slow things down. Like, do whatever you have to do. And if that means that you need to break it down to where you're just focusing on like the next 5 minutes to like, and you need to go at that pace. I'm here to say that there are times where I physically was in first gear, scaling a rocky road, just hoping I got out of this okay. And sometimes we can be in a very safe place and have all of that same scary feelings. And that the best thing we can do for ourselves is just, and sometimes you have to come to a complete stop and be like, okay, what is one thing I can do that can make this one moment a little bit better? And obviously, my puppy's one way. Um, Looking for something beautiful, where there's always something beautiful. Like, I mean, just look out the window, and even if you live in a city, there's always something beautiful. Like, focus on that one little thing that brings you joy, and I promise you, it's like just enough fuel to get you moving a little bit forward, and it just might be really slow at first, and that's okay. It's okay. You can do it. Like if I can do it, you can do it. And I'm here to say that things got pretty dark at times, and but I did it. And if I can, you can too. So it feels like a really good place to land and to end and to leave you with. Um, if you are receiving a copy of the book, keep an eye out for emails, and especially around shipping addresses. I'm doing these in batches. It isn't like a huge group of people, but it will take me some time to sign, package, and ship, and I'm doing it kind of like I'm just doing it in batches in the order that the orders came in. And those of you who invest a little bit more do have some fun goodies. And then the books will be available. So if you receive a copy and you are happy with it and you think it could help somebody, like, you can buy a copy, you could gift your copy, or you could buy a copy for somebody. So they're basically available. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. And if you are just meeting me for the first time, hello. If you feel like the road has disappeared, I'm proof that it will eventually appear, and you'll get on your way, and you'll end up where you need to be. And that's what matters most. Okay, Frankie. Can you say goodbye? Yeah. I guess that's a wrap.